John Bittoke Jr. celebrated his 33rd birthday in style. Hours earlier, he found out that it was his group, Professional Basketball Franchise Incorporated, that had been given the go-ahead by the NBA to negotiate for an expansion team for the city of Toronto.
We are as excited as we can get about our Canadian expansion.
The Toronto Raptors made their first major personnel announcement, and they held nothing back, naming NBA legend and future Hall of Famer Isaiah Thomas as the team's first vice president of operations.
It's a very hip look. It's very young. It's very energetic. It's something that I think our players would be proud to wear. It's something that I think once they put the uniform on and run out on the court, 10, 15 years from now, that logo, that name is going to mean a lot. And this is the start of it. This is the foundation.
In November of 1993, it was announced that Toronto, Ontario would be the site of one part of the NBA's expansion into the country of Canada. With a unique look that set them apart from the rest of the league, the Toronto Raptors would officially take the floor in 1995, and despite struggling in their inaugural season, were immediately embraced by the city, ranking 7th in the NBA's merchandise sales that year. Eager to put a product on the floor that matched the buzz around the franchise, in 1997 the Raptors would surprise many around the league, drafting an 18-year-old straight out of high school by the name of Trice McGrady.
With the 9th pick in the 1997 NBA draft, the Toronto Raptors select Trice McGrady from Mount Zion Christian Academy.
The following year, they would look to add another big piece, hoping to build a solid backcourt in the increasingly guard-focused NBA, a goal that turned their attention to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where a high-flying Vince Carter had begun to make a name for himself on the Tar Heels.
Sure enough, they came down to Chapel Hill to watch me play, pick up. And the guy said, hey, if you're available, we're going to draft you, so you might as well come take a visit. I was like, all right, I ain't never been to Toronto, Canada, which way? I don't know. Go visit. I had the worst visit ever. They lost my bag. My room got canceled. So because I was at the airport so long, they canceled my room because they thought I wasn't. They thought I was gonna be there. So I leave there, Skydome. I ended up going down room service 2 hours late. So now it's like 2 a.m. I got a workout in the morning. Get to the workout. The manager forgot to bring my uniform, my practice gear. So he had to go back and go get that. I was like, bro, this ain't meant to be. Sorry, cuz. And they said I had a good workout. It didn't feel like it. Next thing I know, I got drafted. As soon as I got drafted by Golden State. And I'm walking up the steps and Twan here, he's like, we about to get traded, is what he's saying. But I didn't know. I was like, what? He was saying we about to get traded for each other. But it's like, I'm hyped. I just got drafted. I'm in the league now. Didn't know. I was like, man, all right, I'll talk to you later. Get up there, shake his hand. We take the picture. He's like, stand right here. It's about to be a trade. I'm like, man, what's somebody about to get traded? This is crazy.
Why you want me to stand here while somebody gets traded?
I can leave and get out your way, sir. No problem. It's been a trade. The Toronto Raptors, I said, has made a trade for the Golden State Warriors. Vince Carter for Antoine Jameson. He walk up. He's like, that's what I was telling you. I said, I couldn't hear you. Yeah. He's like, I was telling you we was getting traded. So in the table, my family sitting here, my family sitting there getting that. Oh, here you go, crazy.
Yes.
So it was crazy. So it was just a crazy moment. Like I got introduced to the business of basketball immediately.
An NBA lockout that pushed the regular season back to January 1999 meant that Carter would have an extended period of time to prepare for his rookie season, learning what it was like to not only live in a new city, but a new country.
I get there, and to my surprise, it's one of the best kept secrets. I mean, it's one of the best places ever. I mean, they were learning with me. The game of basketball was just starting to evolve and starting to win and starting to get good players there. T-Mac's there, my cousin's there. It's just like, you can't beat that. And it was just a start. It was just a great start for us.
After taking the time to adjust to his new surroundings, Vince Carter was ready to get his rookie season underway with the Raptors, and it wouldn't take long for him to formally introduce himself to the rest of the NBA.
We're playing Toronto at Georgia Tech.
I remember.
I'm watching you college. I see the dunks. I don't see them up close.
Right.
I done played against Michael. I'm guarding Doug Christie at the top of the key. You're isolated against Chris Crawford. You beat Chris Crawford.
Yes.
So then there's Dikembe coming. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I go, young fella, welcome to the league.
Carter elevates and throws it down. My goodness.
Talk to me about that dunk.
For me, I just wanted to establish myself, and he had blocked my dunk a couple of times, and no, young fella, and all that stuff. So I was like, man, I'm gonna get this guy one time. You just don't know. So I just remember going baseline and taking that second dribble and going up. And once I hit him, I was able to go a little higher. And when I dunked the ball, it took everything not to wag my finger back at him. At that time they were calling technicals for the taunting or whatever, but it was just a great feeling. It was like, this is just who I am.
Vince Carter. Oh, yeah. Gets to the basket, turns, fade away, baseline, and I'll tell you what. 8-point lead. Carter. Oh, my goodness. Takes him to the baseline. Oh, my goodness. And he's stripped. Ahead of the back. Showtime. Oh, no. Downtown this year. 20th.
Just suiting up in the ACC every night, the fans passionate. Finally, get out of the Sky Dome, which you can't hear nobody cheering because it seems like everybody's like miles away, and you can't really see nobody. But just finally establishing ourselves as a franchise to be taken seriously.
It became me, Paul, and Jay Will in the running for Rookie of the Year. In the second part of the season, Paul was killing. Yeah. Second part of the season, I kind of figured it out a little bit, and it took off, and I won it. So, bro, the game seemed so easy because it was wide open. It was like a different game, like run and jump, like just. It felt like playing pickup in Florida again. Like that's all people did, run and jump. Like it was easy, and then add a jump shot to it and make shots. And now I'm the go-to guy, make plays, but.
In his rookie season, Vince Carter had averaged over 18 points per game on his way to being named the league's Rookie of the Year, a performance that not only earned him respect around the league, but launched his name into one of the most popular across the NBA. Although the Raptors had failed to make the playoffs, the combo of Carter and McGrady had left the city of Toronto buzzing with optimism. And as the 2000 season rolled around, the Raptors would officially become must-see TV.
I think he was being taken as for a joke, the first couple seasons. But that third year, just to have the fans engaged, our team winning ball games and the excitement that we putting out there, witnessing greatness in DC, it was fun, man.
Down toward Vince Carter, feet flies in, baby, what a play! Christie lobs that one to Carter, finishes. Vince Carter now, look out! Brooks got a hand on it, Vince Carter from nowhere! Vince Carter, oh, what a finish! They'll run, nice pass.
It's hard to explain. I mean, what seems normal now would I guess wow a lot of people. It's just everywhere we would go, I mean, we were gaining attention. I mean, we were that team that people didn't know about, but at the same time, you knew what those two young guys on that team could do.
It was like watching your favorite movie every night. You just never get tired of it. Sitting there and watching this dude, some of the stuff that he did on the basketball courts, like poetry in motion, man, to have a front row seat. And, the greatest thing about greatness is the unknown. And that's what it was, because you just never knew what you were going to get out of him. And it was just some of the greatest years. One of the greatest seasons to witness. as a teammate.
And it's just like, everywhere we go, it's like, hey, you get right in the layup line, kids like, dunk it, let's see it dunk, do something, do between the legs, whatever that is. I tell you, it's just the following, and we had fun doing it. I mean, we learned, we were respectful of the game, we enjoyed the game. It was just, like you said, it was just a rock star lifestyle. I mean, it was just under the eye. I mean, social media now, how it is, I couldn't imagine what it would have been like back then. So I guess I'm thankful for that.
Averaging the 4th most points per game in the entire NBA with nearly 26 a night, Vince Carter had officially emerged as a star in the league. His nightly appearance on highlight reels and crowd-raising dunks had put himself on the map, but it was his iconic appearance in the 2000 Slam Dunk Contest that would put the Raptors front and center across the world.
Here is the man that this crowd wants to see. Vince Carter, who had told Kenny Smith that he has 4 dunks that no one has ever seen.
I see all these people in here, and everybody's sitting on the court, and all of these years that I've dreamt of being right there in the moment. I'm now in the moment. Some kid now is going to tape this to study for them in the future. I said, you know what? I'm gonna try it. And once I got that 1 and that 2, and I remember slapping the ball, and I jumped. And when I turned around, the rim was like right here to me. And I was like, oh.
Here is Vince Carter with his first shot.
Let's go home! Let's go home, ladies and gentlemen! Let's go home!
And once I threw it through, and you can see I hop again. I felt like I could have hopped and done another windmill. Like, I mean, that much adrenaline in me. So it was just like, and that's when it was just like, oh man, here we go.
This the finale on the first round for Vince Carter.
Oh, it's over, ladies and gentlemen.
Vince Carter with his first on the final round.
Ladies, wait, time out. Can I take a timeout?
Have we ever seen that before?
Carter racked up a score of 98 to win the NBA.com Slam Dunk 2000 championship.
Although the Raptors had been able to make their first playoff appearance in franchise history that year, a big change would come in the 2000 offseason. One half of the team's fan-favorite duo, Tracy McGrady, was faced with a tough decision in free agency, electing to leave Toronto for an opportunity at being the face of his hometown franchise in Orlando.
He wanted to spread his wings and be the guy. I thought it was a problem to me because you could run the play for him and put all your efforts into stopping him, and there's that other guy on the wing, and vice versa. Sometimes the plays will be run for me, go make a play, and of course you got to stop this guy named Tracy McGrady, who was just as athletic, just as skilled in scoring. So I just thought, man, 1-2 punch like that, you can't stop it. But we laugh about it. It was like, hey, man, I wish we could have had a few more years to try it out. At the time, the media tried to put us against each other. Mm-hmm. So they go to him like, well, Vince Carter said this. And they come at me, well, T-Mac said this. We called and talked on the phone like, bro, we going back and forth over this when we can just talk this through it. So we had a conversation about this and was like, bro, I didn't even say that. So it's cool. So now media going back and forth, but we had already talked. Like, bro, this ain't it. Like, bro, like this is not. Yeah, exactly. So I was happy. I didn't want him to leave. I was like, cause the year before, like I said, we got swept in the playoff, but he was balling. And see, the thing about me is like, I wanted to do my thing, but I knew I had a dog on the other side. So if he's scoring the 30 and hitting the game with it, like, it's all good. Like, coach will draw it up for me, but if he open, bro, I'm gonna give you the rock. Right. That's my cuz. I'm getting to play with my cousin in the league.
We played together for 2 years, and I went to Orlando, and it was a tough decision to leave, but going home, playing in front of the hometown, because I grew up in that area, right? Yeah.
For sure.
So now that I look back, it's all over. I wish I had stayed, man.
Really?
I swear. I swear I wish I had stayed.
Really?
Because I mean, I've grown, the 2 years that we played together. But I knew I could have continued to, elevate my game and evolve into the player that I became, even playing alongside of him.
The exit made Vince the undisputed face of the franchise up north. This new responsibility resulted in an important growth in Carter's game, as he continued to develop an all-around skill set that better suited his role as the team's primary option.
Yeah, I want to dunk on people. Yeah, of course. But after a while, when Shaq started elbowing, Armand Gilliam started elbowing, all these big, these fellas, and it was okay, which is a flagrant now. That mid-range looking real nice, because after a while, Oak and all them say, hey, man, yeah, you can go get them when you can get them. But, if you're trying to sustain 4 quarters and be a go-to guy, sometimes the mid-range look good.
Leading the Raptors to a franchise record 47 wins in 2001, Vince Carter would have the best season of his career thus far, averaging 27.6 points per game on his way to an All-NBA selection. His performance had placed Toronto firmly in the Eastern Conference playoff race. This set up a showdown with league MVP Allen Iverson and the 76ers in round 2, a series that was seen as a battle between two of the new generation's brightest stars. The spotlight ended up being a perfect stage for Carter to shine, and Game 3 in Toronto would end up being one of the greatest games in his young career.
4 minutes elapsed here in the second. Carter does it again. Vince Carter has hit 6 out of 6 from three-point territory. And this is a 3. Carter with the rebound, turnaround. Another one. That's amazing. Amazing. Vince Carter on a turnaround has hit his 8th three-pointer in a row. Batted out. Childs has it again. And there's a pass to Carter. Look up. And here's going to be Carter. 50.
Dropping 50 points in a key victory, Vince once again made his presence known across the NBA, and his Raptors would put up a fight throughout the series, pushing Philly to their limit. The day of Game 7, Vince Carter would controversially choose to attend his graduation at the University of North Carolina before returning to the team before tip-off, something that wasn't seen as a big deal until Carter had the ball in his hands with the series on the line.
Curry has it. Carter trying to get free. Carter at the buzzer. No good. And the Sixers hold on and advance to the conference finals.
Would you do it all over again? Absolutely. Why?
I was able to fulfill both of my obligations. I think for every college student who's put the hours in to finally graduate and receive that diploma, that's what it's all about. And, I got to experience the ultimate high and the ultimate low all in one day. The high of graduating and fulfilling a goal, and the low of missing the game-winning shot, Game 7, to go on to the conference finals. And I was able to hold my head up high, though. I was thankful for the opportunity, and I would take that shot again. When I got home to Toronto, I went to the gym, took that same shot 7 times in a row and made it for peace of mind.
The 2002 season had seemed like another step in the right direction, as Vince had once again averaged over 24 points on his way to an All-Star selection. However, the physical demand of the season and his previous participation with Team USA that summer would eventually catch up with him. In February of 2002, Carter strained his left quadricep, an injury that was made worse following his attempt to play through the pain.
Well, I tell you, the Olympics ran into the start of the season the year before. And actually, when we got back, it had already started. So I had to get permission just to get a day or 2 off. Right. So technically, I played the 6 weeks of the Olympics and then right into the season. And it was just tough, and it really took a lot of my body and my legs. And, that injury occurred to my knee, ended up getting the surgery. And, I just say the biggest mistake I think I made as an athlete, not really the individual, as an athlete, is that once I felt better, 30, 40, 50%, I was like, you know what, I can go back. Well, I didn't get the surgery until a little later. I tried to go back, and I ended up injuring that even more, which caused other injuries. And the biggest mistake we as athletes make is that we let the pressure of the media and or fans say, oh, you know, he's not this, he's not that, he needs to get back on the court, we need him to play. But if you're not 100%, you know, it's all about longevity. And if you're not 100%, let it heal 100%, and then you won't miss even more games. And that was a mistake I made.
Vince Carter would ultimately elect to have arthroscopic surgery on his left knee, resulting in him not only missing the remaining 22 games of the season, but the first 39 games of the 2003 season as well. This time off the court would be the first sign of a shift in energy around Carter in Toronto, something that was escalated by the firing of the entire management and coaching staff in the 2004 offseason. Whether it be simple miscommunication or a mishandling on either side, as new general manager Rob Babcock entered the scene that year, it appeared the relationship between the Raptors and Vince had reached its breaking point.
I personally told Mr. Babcock, I was like, look, I don't have a problem with being here. That's what it's about. Because I remember when I first met him, he's like, yeah, I understand you don't want to be here. Like, the first meeting, I was like, how do you hear this on your second day of the job? So it just went from that conversation of, I hear you want to now Vince wants out. He's not happy. He's not playing hard for them. Like, I would never disrespect the game. All of that I've been through prior to 2004, why would I disrespect the game now? Because the game's been so good to me. And what I've learned from veterans and all that just didn't make sense to me. So it was rather frustrating for me.
On December 17th, 2004, after months of rumors, Vince Carter was traded to the New Jersey Nets mid-season, a move that officially ended his time in Toronto.
Once it happens, and the trade happens, and it's like, oh, Vince didn't want to be here, and so on and so forth, just the hatred. Like, I was like, I just couldn't understand it, because if the fans or the organization, the people knew me like I thought they did, they knew I loved it there. I loved playing there.
I love Toronto. I go back to Toronto. It's the best kept secret. You know, it's just I didn't agree with some of the things that were happening in the organization, and I addressed those views with the owner. So it's not like I shied away from it. And I think some people there, you know, knew what they were doing.
If you can go back, is there one thing you would have did different to maybe stay?
I don't know. I mean, it's not sure. I mean, sit with the GM a bunch of more times. I don't know. I mean, it's just the disconnect between the two of us, I think, is where it started. To try to clean that up, I don't know. I don't know what else to do. And it just was what it was. It was putting the cards for this to happen, for me to learn and to grow and to develop thick skin.
Entering the 2022 NBA season, there are 22 Canadian-born players on opening day rosters, a number that's only expected to grow as a wave of elite prospects continues to come out of the United States' northern neighbor. The game of basketball wasn't always thriving at this level in Canada, but the entrance of the NBA in the 90s sparked a generation of young players who grew up idolizing a certain high-flying star that captured the imagination of fans across the country.
Do you acknowledge and realize the impact that you had on Toronto/Canada basketball?
Q, I had no idea leading up to it, because I was just trying to make my mark. And you know, I loved the game. It was questioned that I didn't love the game, but I love playing. I said, I just love playing. And it shined through on the court and did whatever I had to do. I moved my foundation down there, so we make sure we're in the community. I built basketball courts where we used to walk around Toronto. All you saw was hockey jerseys. Right. You didn't see nobody walking around with basketball. Right. They didn't even have basketball courts. And if they were, it was broke down or half court. So I started building a few courts around the city, and we started winning. We made it to the playoffs. We got swept. But it's like, oh, we got something to cheer for. Because Maple Leafs, that's what it was. And then it became basketball. Toronto Raptors, oh, that's the basketball team. Oh, I'm going to go check them out. And it's appreciated. I just like, I didn't understand what that meant. It's just, I was happy where I was, and I wanted to win, and I enjoyed playing ball. Everything was good. I have a country, because Vancouver left. Now it's just Toronto. And I'm like, that's my city now. Like Tristan Thompson came up to me, he's like, yo, you are my Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was one of the most uncomfortable conversations I ever had, or compliments I've ever had. Like when you talk about Michael Jordan and how people put Michael Jordan in.
How we put
Yeah,
Michael
exactly.
Jordan.
Like now here's a guy who says that, who is in the league. You know, who is not a guard. He's a big man. He's like, no, you are our Michael Jordan. You are my Michael Jordan. What you did for the game, how you loved it, you played it because you just wanted to be the best, and it shined through. And then you start seeing younger guys who still because there's still Kobe, there's still LeBron, and it's like, who are from Canada, be like, nah, you were my favorite player growing up, bro. Yeah. You were my favorite player. Like that's crazy, man. I'm definitely appreciative.
Vince Carter's time with the Toronto Raptors is one that lives on forever in highlight reels and memories. Iconic dunks and big-time plays orchestrated a period of time that saw a new franchise in the NBA quickly become a fan favorite. There were many years that the relationship between Carter and the Raptors was stained from the harsh ending. But now, nearly 2 decades later, it's impossible to dismiss the impact that Vince had not only on the growth of the franchise, but basketball across the world. A legacy that can still be seen to this day.
There's a new NBA champion, and it's a team from Toronto, Canada. We, the North, are now we, the champions, the Raptors, the 2019 NBA champs.